Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of my live tea tasting. I've got a great blend for you guys today, so I am really excited to get this thing going. Tonight is another Tilula blend, continuing on with Tilula month, and we've got this really wonderful tea. It's a little bit rare because it's kind of seasonal, but tonight's blend is Keemun Feng, and this one is usually like very delicate kind of a black tea. So instead of going the whole 212 that I usually do for 5 minutes, hey Sneha, welcome. Instead of doing the whole 212 for 5 minutes, I did it at around 195 to, hey Juliet, welcome. I got a little tongue-tied there. So I purposefully understeeped this one, the Keemun, because it tends to be a little bit more delicate than the normal black teas. So I did this for about 195 to 200 degrees at about 3 minutes, and it smells incredible. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my first whiff. Let you know my first. Hey Ma, welcome. My first impressions. Oh, that is smelling really nice. Hey Teresa, welcome. Oh yeah, definitely. I've had experiences with Keemun before, and I realized too late that I messed it up at the time. I thought that it was just naturally bitter, but first impressions, I'm getting like a, how do I put this? It's kind of like a roasted berry flavor in the scent. It smells kind of nutberry. It smells really, really nice. It's mellow. Kind of like a freshly made baked brownie with nuts on top. That's what I'm getting. And ooh, I'm loving that smell. I'm glad I understeeped this one. Ooh, that is smooth. Oh, absolutely. This is delicious. There is like this kind of a warmth that just goes right into your mouth. Where is the tea from? This is it's a seasonal blend from China. I just actually finished reading about it. I forget the region. Maybe it's on the bottom. I don't know. Nope, it doesn't say. I forgot the region. Hey, Amy, welcome. I forgot the region, and I should know this because I literally just read about it on Monday. But I mean, the way that it's processed is very interesting. You're going to notice right off the bat that this is not your typical black tea. Because look at how very straw-like it is. Whoops, fell over. Look, it's like little needles. And you don't normally get that in a black tea. Normally, like if they're long, they're super curly and a little bit chunky, a little bit thick. This one is super duper thin, very, very slight. But when you steep it, look at how much it expands. It almost comes out all the way. Try not to get any in my tea. But you'll notice how thick it got. And I don't know if the camera can quite catch it, but there's still a little bit of green in there. So it's not like super duper black oxidized. This is a lightly oxidized black tea, making just over the line for to make the black category. But yeah, this particular one is really, really gorgeous. And there's a certain amount of honey sweetness in the leaf itself. I'm kind of getting like a woody, it's almost alcoholic. Oh, I'm loving that. Now, Keemun, it tends to be more on the fancy side, because it's seasonal. You don't get to pick it all year round, and this is like the best time of the year to get it. Keemun, I believe, is either early in the spring or like later in the spring going into summer. I forget the season. I really should have brushed up on my notes beforehand. But it's plucked, and it's very it's handled very gently. Like, you can see in its appearance how much it just looks like hay, and you can't handle anything like this too roughly, otherwise it'll break. So it's handled pretty gently, and it's processed, and it's got like this really sweet kind of aroma to it. That's kind of like it's got like little notes of chocolate. Oh, I'm really loving that smell. I mean, like, not even just the taste. The smell has got me just really enthralled in it. And it's got like this kind of chocolate cherry thing going on, where the taste itself is robust, but sweet. It's not as smoky as a lot of black teas are, and it's not even as earthy as a lot of black teas are. It's a very smooth composition. There's very little to no bitterness. Like, the astringency is really low, and I'm counting that towards being cautious and understeeping it, because understeeping it, you get you pull it out right before the leaf starts to burn. So I think I did justice by this one. There's a little bit. Did you know that Keemun was first harvested in the 19th century? Yes, I did. That was part of my studies. They were talking about how the tea had changed over the years and developed, and like broke off into different cultivars. This one is a Camellia sinensis sinensis. So you're going to have a lighter taste overall. So the sinensis sinensis tends to be very mild, because it's open and it absorbs a lot of sun. So it has kind of sort of ideal climates for a nice mellow tea. Just imagine. Oh, excuse me. Just imagine living your life just in the sun all day, opening, taking in all that sun, light breeze. There's now in the place that it grows, there's not a whole lot of water. Like, it has a good amount, but it's not overdone. Like in the monsoon seasons of not Thailand. What is it? Where's the one that has the monsoons? It's escaping me right now. There's a tea that grows in the monsoon season. I believe it's Ceylon. It's a Ceylon tea that grows in the monsoon, but I'm probably wrong. But yeah, it's pretty evenly watered. You're not gonna get a whole lot of like drought, so it lives in pretty ideal conditions where it can thrive and relax and give off that regular smooth kind of blend to it. It's very light, very silky, as opposed to Camellia sinensis assamica, which grows in lesser light and harsher environments, usually in drier environments, not really as exposed to the sun. So the leaves that grow, they grow smaller and kind of closed, and it conserves the energy into keeping itself alive rather than trying to absorb as much sun as possible. So that tends to be a more robust, more earthy blend. So that is a huge difference between the Sinensis sinensis and the Sinensis assamica. So this being the Sinensis sinensis, you're going to get a more mild flavor that goes pretty well with just any, like, over the afternoons, nice and mellow. It'll keep you relaxed. I mean, unless you're super sensitive to caffeine, because this is a pretty well caffeinated tea. You're not going to get a huge jittery buzz out of it, but it's a nice mellow kind of awakening whenever you drink a tea over a coffee or an energy drink, something like that. You're gonna get like it's kind of mellow, and that's what I'm feeling right now. And I love the way it just like sits on my tongue. It's got a kind of slightly watery, but it's robust enough to hide the watery flavor of it. You have a nice, it's a nice mellow flavor. I can't stop drinking it. Like this is the one problem that I have when I find a really engaging tea. Whenever I drink it, I have to exercise some sort of restraint. Otherwise, I could finish this in like a minute. But I love the way it just sits there. It's actually, as it cools off, it's kind of floral, I have to say. Hey Shanna, welcome. It's kind of how do I put this? It's kind of floral, but in a garden sense, where there's not one specific flower, but a mixture of everything. And I'm really enjoying it. You know, this is the kind of blend that I can sit there and relax on an afternoon and just like read a book and not, like just forget about the day. I'm gonna go ahead and do the Thomas taste, because I mean, like, as beautiful and as robust as this blend is, I want to just take a moment to actually really think and digest what it is that I'm tasting. Ooh, that's delicious. I'm getting like a little sense of chocolate and copper over my palate. And it just kind of like, it's a slow burn. Like the taste lingers on my tongue. And it just kind of like, it's a comforting sensation. And I have to say, like, I don't get to drink Keemun very often. You're all for losing yourself in an awesome cup of tea. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so easy to do when you're like enthralled in a book or something. You just like let the time pass. It's really, and I mean, this is like a really good blend to do it with, because it's not very overpowering. This isn't the kind of tea that will wake you up in the morning. it's way too smooth. It's way too mellow to like give you that kick that you might need sometimes. This is not an English breakfast kind of tea. It's really mellow, and I mean that in the best way, because I don't always look for a tea blend to wake me up or to give me a buzz, or it's not that kind of go-to tea. This is the kind of tea that you can sit back, relax, and really, really appreciate what it is that you're drinking. Like I was saying, I haven't had a whole lot of Keemun in my life. I was turned off to Keemun for a little bit because of the way that I was steeping it. When I first had it, I wasn't a baby in tea. Like, I knew what I was doing, but I hadn't yet experienced a delicate black tea before. And it took me some time to really figure out what I was doing wrong. I thought it was just naturally astringent. But, the more that I drank it, and the more I talked to the staff about it, they explained, it's like, yeah, it's not your typical black tea. In the same way that a Darjeeling isn't a typical Indian tea. The Darjeeling uses the same thing as this blend, the Camellia sinensis. It's just grown in a place that the environment is really similar to China. So the Camellia sinensis is more adept to grow there. Now, in 80% of the rest of India, you have Camellia sinensis assamica, and that gives you that big, bold, black flavor that you're normally expecting from an Indian black tea. So the tea is so red. Oh yeah, absolutely. I should have mentioned that before. You can see it's red, but it's clear. It's not like a really deep, black, murky blend. This one is perfectly clear. There's nothing else in it except for the leaf. And the leaf itself is just really incredible. And even as I continue to drink and it's cooling off, I'm getting more notes of fruit, like red berry. Nothing too sweet, but more on the tart end of it. Kind of like a raspberry, or a blackberry. It's not like super duper sour, but it's on that side of not being sweet. And there's still, like, as I smell it, it still smells like like brownies with nuts on top. I'm just really thoroughly enjoying all the senses at once. Now, I venture to say that this would make a really good iced tea as well, because it's more naturally sweet. But because it's a Keemun, hey Jose, welcome. But because it's a Keemun, I feel like I'd be insulting it if I iced it. I mean, it would probably be very good iced, but I don't know. There's a certain kind of reverence that a Keemun commands, where you'd be remiss to do something to it that you normally traditionally wouldn't. And I have a certain kind of respect as I'm drinking it. It's reminding me why I love Keemun so much. And I really need to bring it back into my rotation, because like I've had maybe 2 or 3 pouches in my entire life, And that is not a whole lot for me. I mean, normally I've had tons and tons and tons of different kinds of teas, and the ones that I love I go back to. But my need to explore sometimes gets the better of me, and I feel like I need to find something new. But in this case, like I forgot a classic. I'm kind of ashamed of it. What can I say? And I'm getting this like kind of woody flavor up in the roof of my mouth, and as I breathe, it amplifies a little bit. But I'm seriously loving this blend. Oh, and I mean, I had a pretty heavy dinner, and it's kind of like settling my stomach as I speak. There are some teas that like give you an overwhelming sense of fullness. This one is kind of just settling what I already have in my belly, and I had quite a bit in my belly. But I'm loving the way that it's settling on what I've already had. Okay, questions, comments, anything you want to talk about? Now's the time. I'm going to answer Teresa's question as I always do. What would I pair this with? It's a little bit difficult. Yes, I do love that woody taste. What would I pair this with? I would pair this with a tree. No. I would pair this with. This is gonna sound weird, but I would say like Honey Nut Cheerios dry. It's like you have that that kind of an egg. I wouldn't say an egg per se. An egg might be too salty for the blend. Well, maybe, yeah. Like I wouldn't have anything too salty. Maybe I would lean more towards pancakes, light on the syrup. Because I mean, if you make it too sweet, it might overpower this. I would say, yeah, more along the lines of pancakes. I wouldn't even suggest like breakfast meats to go along with it. I would just say pancakes alone. It does a good job of that. It does a good job of maintaining its flavor throughout. Never getting too strong. Some teas tend to get astringent as they cool. This one is maintaining its flavor like immensely. I'm truly loving it. And I mean, I wouldn't even recommend sweetening it. I mean, I think if I were to sweeten it, I would use honey rather than sugar or anything else. Maybe a little bit of cream, but I mean, this is like taking it. I think that cream might be taking it a little bit too far, if that makes sense. Oh, excuse me. Oh man, but I'm thoroughly enjoying this blend. I don't often say this, but I would definitely recommend this to somebody who is looking for a traditional black tea. I usually don't give a recommendation during during the stream, but I don't know, it's just something about this is really just, it's standing out. And it's not really like, what was this? Will the tea go well with cream and sugar? I mean, in my opinion, cream and sugar would just ruin it, I mean, there are people who have sweet tooths, And I was one of them. When I started streaming, I would always put a little bit of stevia. But then, after a while, people were telling me, you're not getting um, an authentic account. I was drinking the tea according to my own tastes, and taking away from the potential. It's kind of like you're 10 years old still using training wheels on your bike. It takes away from the potential of you drinking it the way that it means to be drank. But over the years, I've trained my palate to really sense these things, and I attribute it to not sweetening my tea anymore. And now it's a rare thing where I sweeten my tea even at home. I love a good unsweetened tea as long as it's steeped correctly. If I mess it up, I'd be the first one. Would this tea be good iced? Like I said before, I think it would be good iced, but out of respect, I personally wouldn't do it. Only because I enjoy the way that this feels, and there's a certain kind of reverence to the Keemun name that it comes with. But I wouldn't think bad of anybody who does, because this is just being a naturally sweet blend, and it already kind of sort of tastes like baked goods. So icing it is just a natural. It's a natural step. But in this case, I wouldn't hold it against anybody that does. So definitely, if you ever get the chance, definitely get some. Definitely ice it, if that's what you prefer. But I would also encourage you to drink it hot. Would that be a good daytime or nighttime tea? Well, it depends on how susceptible to caffeine you are. This is pretty well caffeinated. But if caffeine's not a problem, then yeah, I would say more towards the afternoon into the evening. Probably not a morning tea, because it's not a really strong blend. This is one that maintains you being already awake. Or even maybe not so much the afternoon, but certainly late afternoon into the evening. This is the kind of tea that you come home to drink. You're looking for more chamomile tea for Annabella's bedtime. Oh, I can make tons of suggestions. Chamomile is good. Anything without the actual tea leaf in it is going to be decaf. Or rather, it's going to be caffeine free. I would go with herbal blends. You can't go wrong with lemongrass. Peppermint tea is really good for kids. So you can't handle caffeine so late in the day anymore. I know. Some people just they develop a sensitivity to it. And I hope that never happens to me. But then again, I developed lactose intolerance after college, so I can't say it'll never happen. She has been drinking a cup before bed lately, and you're embracing it. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the kind of thing that you want to embrace, because it keeps her away from the sodas. It keeps her away from all the sugar. And ultimately, it's going to lead to healthier habits. So absolutely, I would say drink all the iced tea that you like. I can send a ton of blends. As a matter of fact, I've made one that I forget the name, the original name. I have it somewhere on my list, but I changed the name to Night Tea because I drank I drank a whole pot for the stream, and right after I knocked out. I was like, "Bye, everybody." Oh, it was bad, but it was delicious. And it was just I'll send you the link for that. But yeah, we'll talk about the kind of flavors that she's looking for, because we can also go into the rooibos teas. I think that Annabella would really enjoy. When we have our play date soon, bring me the strongest knockout tea you got. I don't actually. No, I. Oh wait, no, I do. I do have one that is a sleepy time tea. I would just warn, because it's got valerian root in it. Valerian root tends to smell like feet, so I say steep it before you smell it, because it will knock you out. But that foot smell, no, it's not for everyone. Well, questions, comments. I'm opening up the floor one last time because I have very little left. But I'm glad that we've got a conversation going, because this is the kind of thing that I live for. I love conversing while I drink. A little bit. What was it? Worse than nothing. Nothing was worse than brick feet smell. I mean, it's kind of along those lines, but nothing so intense. Oh man, that brings back memories, and I'm so glad that my door is closed. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up. Thanks you so much for joining me. This has been an incredible blend. I'm going to go ahead and link this, because I really want you guys to try it. Until next time, have a wonderful night, a great weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye.